this ever happened to you? You're playing an RPG and you invest hours into it. The story is exciting and eventful, the characters have depth and compelling backstories, the world is vibrant and alive. And even in the game itself, you can tell there's an intelligent lore and a well-constructed history. Then out of nowhere, a giant freaking centipede made out of rib cages and hatred falls from the ceilings of a dungeon and cuts your entire party into blood-soaked ribbons! If that's ever happened to you, then you watch SAO of Rich. Congratulations, you get a cookie. That also may mean you struggle a lot in RPGs. And that's perfectly understandable. RPGs are no joke. The most ludicrous games in the decade have been RPGs or had RPG mechanics, like Darksouls, Sekiro, and Destiny. But this video is going to give you tips so you don't rip out your hair and curse up a storm because you're so living. I think you'll understand what I mean once we start the list. Okay, so let's get into the video. RPGs aren't the most complicated gaming format, so why are they so challenging? Isn't it as simple as over-leveling and you're basically a god? To be honest, that depends on the game. So that they can keep their target audience invested and also as a recurring marketing tactic, video games adopt RPG mechanics mainly to further complicate gameplay and make it more challenging. And the most basic mechanic that they use is the leveling system. So yes, leveling up does play an important role, but just not the only one in a forever evolving genre like this. So let's get to step 1. Understand what makes the game difficult. Now the question sounds simple, but you'd be surprised how complicated and convoluted the answer can be. On other gaming platforms, the difficulty is usually displayed through obvious gaming tropes like the health bar or weapons quality. But in RPGs, it's a little more subtle. For example, in Kingdomhearts, when the difficulty is increased to Proud or the critical mode, the damage that's dealt to you is 1.5 times that as you play the Proud mode, but in the critical mode, it's doubled. Not to mention, enemy AIs tend to act more aggressive and have more sense, and your health is cut in half. RPGs tend to take the mechanics you're usually comfortable with without any fear or temper and flip it upside down, demanding that you take unorthodox actions to work the game to your advantage. Which brings us to step 2. Take advantage of the critical flaws of the game and exploit them to your benefit. All of us know the core functions of RPGs. The more you use a certain skill or train in a specific category, the more proficient you become with said path. And through constant training or grinding, the game community calls it, the skill usually grows in power or level. The amount of energy required for the skill is diminished, or the cooldown time after the skill is executed is drained faster. But trying to accomplish these objectives in the time you prefer takes so long it's almost depressing. That's why in the game there are certain techniques, locations, and items that dramatically increase the output of the results you want. This method of gameplay is called farming. Perfect example of which this tactic is more than preferred but is actually required is Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, where grinding for levels can take a very long time. One piece of advice, most farming tools can usually be found mid-game, but the best ones are usually found in late game. If you're patient and have enough confidence to play through the game without help, wait till late game, but if you're watching this video, stick to mid-game farming. Now step 3, set a training schedule of 3 hours. Now when I say training, I don't mean the obvious grinding or killing of enemies to gain executioner points and to increase your level of violence. Undertale reference. I mean increased levels of unorthodox means like you're cooking, you're dancing. Yes, I'm dead serious. Trick in RPGs is that the level doesn't make a character stronger, stats do. In games like Pokemon, Xenoverse, Kakarot, Dragon Quest, and Kingdomhearts, leveling up tends to get so difficult that at some point in the game it almost becomes impossible. So the game has new creative ways to increase your stats. By eating, cooking, doing laundry, walking your dog, cleaning your house, taking care of your kids, all the responsibilities you don't do in your real lives. Now you're probably asking, why should I spend 3 hours on this? Well, because of step 4. Step 4. Traverse the previous explored areas to collect items or go on quests. In RPGs, there's a recurring theme that everyone knows but tends to ignore, and that's the respawn system, where enemies, items, NPCs, and sometimes even quests reappear out of nowhere after a certain period of time. The time period for each respawnable subject is never the same, even within the same game. Enemies tend to have the fastest respawn time at just under a few seconds to a few minutes, while with NPCs, tend to be around the same time, give or take a few minutes. The respawn time for items increases dramatically, estimated at 1 to 3 hours. Following items is equipment or skills. Estimated respawn time in game tends to be 2 to 4 hours, while respawn time of quests usually takes the longest, estimated at around 3 to 6 hours. The reason I suggest a 3-hour training period is due to the fact that within the 3-hour time, the probability of finding 1 out of the 3 respawnable subjects is around 87%, because nothing's ever 100%. Step 5. Know your party's strengths and weaknesses. Each path a character follows and each weapon a character uses has its ups and downs, but the real problem is having an unbalanced party that doesn't cover any of the holes or cracks in your supposedly perfect armor. I'm not gonna go over every possible weapon and formation combination because that'll be here forever, but I will give you the basic group of characters that you should always have in your party. And give or take, this is always the party that the game immediately gives you. Juggernauts. In most games, the Juggernaut is the best option for when you're looking for a character that hits really hard. The thing about a Juggernaut is that it can't be taken down easily, or you don't want it to be taken down easily. Usually they carry around very big, very devastating weapons like buster swords or axes, but these characters don't move usually until the end of the battle. And they usually can't wear a shield because they're using a buster sword and next requires steel hands. They should always have the best armor because they're almost inevitably going to be taken down, but make sure that the enemy works for it. White mages. White mages are healers. If they're in your party, they should be switched out most, because if they die, you're in a very difficult position. Make sure you switch them into someone with a lot of health and defense to make up for the lack of attack. In the gaming community, you should know what a white mage is. White mages are there to heal you, relieve curses, bring your allies back from the dead, buff your allies so that they have higher attack, higher defense, have higher speed so they can attack first. Basically, they're your support. So it's very important that they do not die by any means. Tanks. These guys are your wall. They don't have to be the highest level, but they should have the best shield. These guys should never be taken down. These guys should always be your wall. They usually have some sort of defense buff, if not health buff, to whereas they're hard to take down than even the Juggernaut. They usually don't have any sort of attack specialties or attack pattern or attack tactics, but that's not where their strength relies on. Which brings us to the Enforcer. These guys are the aggro, hit hard, hit first, hit ready, hit fast type fighters. They're most likely to die first, so it's best to make sure they're sacked with some sort of ailment that cripples the enemy, like poison, paralysis, or sleep. Lastly, the Jack of all trades. Now this is for likely what the game sets as your default character. He has the potential to do all the jobs I just listed, but probably not as well as the original cast. Some say these are the worst to work with because their job is so unclear. They're actually the best because these are the guys that are always on the field. They're always there to pave the way for your comrades. Remember, a leader is nothing without his team. Step 6. Have a backup file. Now if you're playing and you're trying to find a certain item, or you made a critical mistake in a quest or story and you want to fix it but you don't want to restart to the beginning, have a backup file. Having a backup file is a more out of the box type of tactic. It's a little bit more unorthodox. Basically, it sets yourself up for your inevitable failure, and not all games allow this, but for the ones that do this, can be done easily thanks to the autosave mechanic. If that's not available, the same can be done through manual save as well. Okay guys, I hope that this video helped you and you're able to progress through RPGs a lot better now. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, I'd like to give a big shout out to my homie Bear Kid. He's the guy who made this music possible. If you like this music of this video, be sure to go check out his channel. His link will probably be in the description down below. Share this video with your friends, and this is your generous prince, and I am out. Bye.